Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the TheSkitzMen podcast. Today, we are going to be venturing into the topic of relationships and family dynamics.
Yeah, last episode, we spoke about the impacts of social media on society and the kind of general roles of it, which was a very interesting topic. If you haven't seen it, go and give it a watch.
Yeah. All right. So, before we begin, how are you?
Do you know what? I was waiting for that question, and I've been good, man. I've been working on myself like a lot recently. Um, I've, I went on that solo trip to Spain for like 4 days, which was great.
Nice.
I just was by myself, like just chilling in the hotel, all inclusive,
Yep.
vibing. I was going out of an evening and I felt good.
Yeah.
And I just was able to take myself away from everything and just be by myself, which was nice.
It's the first time you did that, right?
First time, yeah. And it was a great experience. And yeah, just was able to be by myself. And then it put a lot of stuff into perspective for me, I think, being away.
Yeah.
I was able to just do things that I don't normally do, and just be one with my mind. I had my earphones in, walking down the beach, and yeah, done that. Pushed myself even further, climbed Mount Snowdon, which was great.
Yeah, you did that recently.
Recently. Yeah,
feet, man.
done it with the boys, which was nice. And yeah, it was different. I don't usually do stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
But it pushed me because I've got a mad fear of heights as it is. So
it must have been a sight to see up there, man. You know, looking over the horizons all across 360 view.
it was great, man. Honestly, it was beautiful. Like on the way there, great time. We obviously stayed overnight, and yeah, it was a chill time. But it was very intense at the same time. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. But I've just been working on myself, being more positive about things, changing how I see things, perspective, outlook, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What about you? How have you been?
Yeah, man. I've been all right. I wouldn't say I've been the best version of myself as of recently. Finally hit a wall at the gym. I've been going consistently, and as of recent, like literally like last week, just haven't really felt like going, man. You know, it doesn't stop me from doing my exercises at home, but I just don't really want to socialize with people at the gym or just be around people. And like, yeah, I think we touched up on that in one of the previous episodes. I just like to be alone sometimes, you know what I mean? And if that means not going to the gym, but still banging out my exercise at home, then I'll do that. But other than that, man, yeah, been good. Life's actually kind of blessed me recently with work and all. Work sorted me out with a few things.
You got that new merchandise.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, so that was cool. That was really nice. And yeah, it's like the way that I would work at work, I would have certain things in a certain way, and I could do that at home now. So it's lit.
Just makes it easier. No, that's nice. I mean, obviously going back to the gym thing, it happens. I think it's just it's you've got to try and push your limits, and just keep going as much as you can. But if you're able to do some of the workouts at home, even better.
Yeah.
But I think going to the gym and just kind of getting over that whole, oh, I'm tired, I can't be bothered to go today. I think you just need to push through it and just get it done, because otherwise you're going to be stuck in that same routine where it's like, can't be asked, I'm not feeling it today, that sort of stuff. But in your own time,
I've got to be a bit more disciplined on that, man. And it's biting me because you want to do it. It's a goal that I've set for myself. I told myself I'm a man on a mission, so I've got to fulfill that. And right now I'm not really doing it, but that's okay. We all go through it. We all have our moments where we fall short. It's just about what we do after that. We're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to gather that momentum again, or we're just going to stay where we are. And I've got you guys, so
yeah, 100%.
I could jump on that.
I think it's definitely the people around you that push you to want to be the better version of yourself. And just bring out the best you, really. And that's I think being in this current climate is tough to do that with everything that's going on. Everybody has their own problems. We're aware of this. This will also lead into our topic of conversation today.
What a great segue.
Okay. Now, this will lead into, I think, perfectly into what we're going to talk about, because I think we're going to touch on gym, stuff like that a bit more next episode.
Yeah.
And just going to kind of go into more detail about your physical health, mental well-being, that sort of stuff. So kind of moving on to the subject of relationships, especially if you've just come out of one, the best time to get into the gym is after that.
100%.
Go into your villain arc, do what you need to do.
Destroy those demons.
Yeah, get big, you know?
Yeah.
Just look after yourself, essentially, is what we're trying to say, because it's your physical health affects your mental health, because you lose sometimes. I mean, this is from my case. Sometimes we lose sight of who we are. We lose sight of how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
You don't love yourself as much as you once did.
True.
Some people struggle with body dysmorphia, which is a common thing,
Yeah.
I think, amongst men especially. And just going to the gym kind of allows you to push yourself to new limits, personal best, you know, personal records, all of that sort of stuff. So just being able to go to the gym allows you to let off some steam.
Yeah.
And just work on your physical health and keep you healthy.
Yeah, them endorphins are good, bro. But yeah, I mean, let's jump into it. Relationships, they're a massive effect on all of us. And
huge.
You know, like you just said, it can be the catalyst for someone to go into their villain arc and, you know, be the person that they want to become, so that they can find the right person.
Of course.
You know, some of us don't need to go down that route, but others do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we've seen it all in our past. I've gone through a few relationships, and not just partners, you know, intimate partners, but friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know? There's certain things that happen in the past that definitely have changed the way that I perceive things. Yeah, I think we mentioned this as well last time, or I mentioned it, trust issues. That's something which I've always had a problem with, but you know, it doesn't stop me from, you know, starting new relationships as well as developing the ones that I currently have.
Of course. I mean, trust is a big thing.
Yeah, it did shape the way that I see things. And yeah, I think the family relationships are probably the most important thing.
It's your environment.
Yeah,
it's what you grow up in. Is they say, you know, you're a product of your environment, and that's true, because you're shaped by the people around you. Your personality is shaped by what's happening around you. Like, if you grow up in a household where it's just toxic and it's not a good environment for you to be growing up in, you're going to take certain traits from the people around you and integrate that into your lifestyle, because to you, that's normal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. That's true. I think we were speaking about this yesterday at the pub with certain things that I mentioned about a relationship.
Yeah.
And how I perceive things. And with my new relationship,
Yeah.
how she doesn't play on that.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's not something that a lot of women do nowadays.
Of course.
You know?
Of course.
Yeah, they take advantage, and we do it as well.
Of course.
You know?
It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street, you know. I think it's definitely one of them things where it's like, we're not here to shit on women or kind of badmouth, but obviously from our own experiences, like, I've been cheated on. You know, I've been in that position, and I've made myself look like a mug to keep that relationship going. And it only ended in me resenting that person, because you've disrespected me and you've basically just destroyed my trust. And I've then fought for you back to make myself look like a mug, pretty much. And I think it depends on how you take it. There are some people that are one and done. They're just like, no. There are some people that want to work through it. There are some people that do work through it. But you got to think, when you cheat on somebody, you're completely disregarding their trust and everything you've built up.
Yep, 100%.
And that's a big thing in a relationship. 100%. That's what keeps you together.
Yeah.
Trust is
the glue, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it.
I'll be honest. I've been on both sides of that. And to put things into perspective, I've been on that side where I'm trying to mend what I've broken. I've broken the trust and I'm trying to mend it. And to be as clear as I can be with everyone here, it is not worth it. There's no point. Once you've broken trust, it's game over. There's no point trying to pick and choose and try and make things better. It's gone. Like, you have one shot at this. We are all human and we all deserve respect. And for the people in the past that I have done that to, I feel so bad for, man. The guilt that I hold now is something from which, if I ever go down that road again, which I will never do, but, you know, let's say in an example that I do, the guilt will destroy me like it did previously. And it changed me. It made me into a hollow individual. And I think I'm good because I hold accountability to myself, and I think that's what you need to do across the board in all relationships. Your friends, your family, you got to be accountable. Some people don't see that,
Of
and
course.
I think it's a lot easier for men to be accountable for everything because the whole world holds us accountable for everything. We're always the ones in regard to this, to that, to that. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that is definitely trust is the biggest factor of them all.
Oh,
You know?
100%. And it's not just relationships with intimate partners, it's family, friends.
Yeah.
I've I've had loads of friends come and go. I've met loads of people. I used to want to be the life of the party and be the guy that everybody knows and know everybody. And it just got so tiring after a while because it's like I'm giving you a part of me to so many people. So many people hold a part of me,
Yeah.
and I will open up to them and then they leave. And then I'm left there like, oh, well, what have I done wrong? Is it me? Am I the problem? And no, I'm not. Now that I've come to terms with it, it's like, I'm not. It's just you're not ready to have my type of personality in your life, and that's fine. I'm quite a eccentric person. I'm quite outgoing with how I am. I have no filter. I don't really care. Not everybody likes that, and that's understandable. But I'm not here to gain validation from everybody. I'm not here to impress people. I'm myself. How I am with you guys is the exact same with how I am with everybody.
Yeah. It's true. It's so true. It's so true. We'll bring someone new into our group, and you are exactly the same, always the same.
I don't put it on.
Beautiful thing about you.
I don't put it on because I don't see the point.
Yeah.
Take me as I am. If you don't let the door hit you in the arse on the way out. It's as easy as that. And there's one thing my mum said when I was younger. She was like, "Don't be surprised if you wake up one day and you don't have anybody around you," and that stuck with me. But
That's cold.
it's
That's
cold. It's a
Yeah,
cold bar, but it's real because
that's
people.
real.
But at the same time, I do understand that people have their own stuff going on, so they're not always going to be able to be around for me, and I don't expect them to. I was raised. Well, I learned when I was younger. I learned to just deal with the stuff by myself because that's the only option I had.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to people because I couldn't really open up to people. That whole mentality of like, I need to do it by myself. That's my purpose. I have no other way. I can't speak to people about it because it makes me look weak. As I've gotten older now, it's a bit easier for me to open up, especially to you guys, to family, my older brother, my sister. But that's just the mentality I have. And that's just because of the environment I was in. Between my parents, there wasn't too much love shown, and that's just how it is.
You know what? Like with what that is though, I always appreciate it when, like, you know, when you get older, it's easier to talk about your feelings because they're not as serious as they were when you were a teenager. All your emotions are raging. You can't control nothing. You don't know what to feel, how to feel. But I think what's really important, if you have a good friend, they're gonna tell you how it is. They're gonna tell you off. They're gonna tell you what you're doing. Why are you acting like that? Why are you being like that? If someone's gonna allow you to be a prick, then they're not really your friend.
Yeah, of course.
You know
They
what I
call
mean?
you out on your bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's how you know they're your friends, because they have that stance to be like, stop doing this. This is affecting X, Y, Z. And this is what's going to happen. I've been in that position, and it goes back to one of the other episodes one of the previous episodes. Having people that are able to understand and even better relate, so that they can then call you out on your bullshit and be like, stop. Because I've been in that position, or I know somebody who's been in that position. This is the end. This is the end outcome of it. You don't need to be going down that road.
Exactly.
And I think it's always good to have people who are just real with you instead of just
100%.
breezing over the fact of like, you've got a problem. Okay, cool. Deal with it. Man up. That was one thing that used to annoy me when I was younger. People, I would talk about my problems. People would just be like, man up. And it's like, it's not that easy.
No,
like, cool, my problems might not be as bad as next person's, but there's still a problem that I'm facing.
100%.
And you're telling me to man up and to deal with it. Of course I'm going to deal with it, but a little bit of guidance, a little bit of advice would help. And I think for me, I've always enjoyed helping people. I've always liked helping people because that's just in my nature. But I never use the same advice I give them on myself.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people do, man. A lot of people fall short. They can preach, but they don't practice what they preach, and that's the life, man. You go through it. You speak about how you want to be. You project. We all do it. We project on how we want to behave and how we want to see ourselves in the future. And we do that through you. I do it through you, you do it through me, whatever it may be. And yeah, it's a beautiful lesson that we all have to learn with ourselves. But teaching ourselves is one thing. And another thing with being as open and clear with your friends, remember guys, you're not here to put them in a position that you want them to be. You're just here to give them advice. And that's what we're here for.
Of course.
There's people out there who are going to be in the position that you just mentioned, who people are just around them saying, oh, just toughen up. You're a man. You're a man. You know, if you are in that position, subscribe to the channel because we will be giving advice on how to live through that. You know, our experiences.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I don't want people to misconstrue this to be like, oh, they're pretending to be therapists, blah, 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 because that's not the case. Like we had one guy comment on the shorts.
Yeah, the charlatan one.
Yeah, and he was essentially he was just like, why would people look for two guys on YouTube and talk about their problems? Like, deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I get what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, cool. Why would they do that? But like I said, you know, we obviously want to make this into a thing where we can actually take it far to help people. But obviously we want to take it full time and make it a full-time thing.
Yep.
And not have to work so we can focus on this solely, you know, but obviously we're adults, we've got responsibilities, we've got jobs, we've got this, that, the other.
Yep.
And it was just funny because he was really trying to bring us down. And it's like, it's not going to work, bro. Like,
it doesn't matter to us.
I don't care what you have to say.
Yeah.
Like, you're just projecting, like you just said, you're projecting your own feelings on everybody else.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're still watching the videos.
Exactly.
And you're still engaging with us.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Keep doing it because honestly, it's great.
Yeah. I actually think it is great because to be able to have our discussions, we've got to have the discourse, which means we have to have people who combat us on things that we're saying. And you know what? He is right. We're not these great people who are going to change your life. Of course we're not. We're just here talking about our life.
Exactly.
And anything that you can take from it, take from it. But we're not telling you to act a certain way. We're not telling you to be a certain way. We're just giving advice on what we've experienced.
Exactly. It's our own experiences.
I just think it's funny. He's
hilarious.
currently in a position where I feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Because I was angry once upon a time, and I used to just take it out on anything and anyone. You know?
And it's easy enough to do it behind the keyboard, on a screen, and just do it like that. Yeah. That's how everybody's a keyboard warrior. It's like, cool. But if you genuinely have a problem, then fine. That's cool. Like, I have no issues with that. You're human. You're allowed to have problems. But going online and taking the time to still watch the whole video or the whole short or whatever it is, taking that whole minute out of your day and then an extra 30 seconds to write a comment, like, we genuinely do appreciate it.
100%.
Whether it's good or bad.
Exactly.
Thank you. Because
honestly,
that's pushing us to keep going.
Exactly.
But back to the topic at hand, relationships. Important as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Important as fuck.
Yeah.
I think personally, from my own experience, relationships have never been my strong suit in terms of intimate relationships.
What would you say is the weakest part of that for you? Because I'm sure you are great in certain aspects.
In certain aspects, I'm great, of course. I think what I struggled with originally was communication. And
that's a big problem for a lot of people.
It's a massive problem.
Yeah.
But in my circumstance, the way I grew up, and again, this stems from childhood trauma. And that's going to be kind of what we go into a bit more today, and we're going to cover it a bit more in another episode. But childhood trauma. So when I was younger, and I would have an argument with my mum. You know, obviously I'm a troubled teenager. I'm going out. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm just causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
And I'd have an argument with my mum, and the way that we would deal with it is, if my mum was upset at me. And this is fine. This has no issue, but obviously it's just made it harder for me to communicate as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
I would have an argument with my mum because we're very, very similar. We're both very, very stubborn.
Okay.
So we'd have an argument, and then she just wouldn't speak to me for like 3 days, so that she could calm down.
Okay.
And I understand that, of course, because you can't, it's like we said before, you can't solve an argument if you're both angry.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we did briefly touch on this last, I think maybe first or second episode, I can't remember. But she would disconnect and just can't use the time to be angry, process it, and then 2-3 days later, she'll come to me and be like, all right, cool, let's talk about it. I'm sorry I acted this way. I shouldn't have shouted at you, or, you know, what you've done has hurt me, or whatever the problem was.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, obviously, I see that as normal.
Yeah.
And I take it into a relationship. And one of my previous relationships, that was a massive problem, because every time we got into an argument, it was because I would go on the defensive because I felt like I'm being attacked.
Yeah.
And she would always say, why are you going on the defensive? I'm not attacking you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
But because in my head, it just riles me up, because I feel like I'm being attacked, I'm being singled out, because I've done something wrong, that it will then lead into that. But I wouldn't be able to communicate that, because I would blow it up even more. And that's my problem. That was my fault. And I will hold my hands up to that, and I've learned from that. But it would be one of them things, like we've said before, where I can't sit there and have a conversation with you if we're both angry because of this argument that has come from nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I need a couple of days away. Now that's changed. Give me a couple of hours, I'll be fine. But before, I couldn't communicate that.
Yeah.
And when I did, and it didn't seem like it was enough, I was then like, well, I need to change something, because maybe I am doing something wrong. Maybe I am taking it too far and just being stubborn for no reason.
Good on you, man.
But again, that's just my environment I grew up in.
Yeah. Similarly to me, I think I've got the opposite of that, where like any issues that I would have, obviously I had 3 older brothers growing up, and I was the youngest at the time. And any issues that we would have, like my dad being the militant man that he is, he would tell us to squash it there and then.
Yeah.
And we would hate hugging each other.
Shout out Pops.
Joey, oh, you know. Yeah, exactly. And but he taught us that you need to deal with it straight away so that you can move on to the good stuff.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned to us that if you're angry still, tomorrow's another day. Wake up and it's a new day.
Yeah.
The experience that you're going to have today is going to be different tomorrow.
That is great advice, by the way.
And I used to take that on literally, like every single day I'd wake up neutral. Like I mentioned last time.
Yeah.
I'd always wake up neutral because it's a brand new day. Whatever comes to me, comes to me. So whatever happened yesterday, I can't hold on to.
Yeah.
But when you grow up and you see other people acting outside of your normality, it does kind of change you, and you have to adapt to it, because you're brought up a certain way, I'm brought up a certain way. When we come together, there's going to be clashes, and the way we resolve things are going to be different.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, I found it hard with previous relationships. I found it hard to have a different type of resolving attitude.
Yeah.
To me, it was like, we're squashing it here and there, you know, and that wasn't always the case. And that sort of put me in a position where I would almost hold grudges.
Yeah.
Because like, why are you still holding on to this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Should I be? Like, I don't understand.
Am I doing something wrong?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So that was me for a while, but I've just grown to understand that, just like you said, you know, this is how people process things, and I've got to change to them. You know, it's adaptation. We are the most adaptable creatures on planet Earth.
Well, that's
Not
it.
from the chameleon, because we can't go invisible. But
yeah, would be nice.
it would be, honestly.
But I think, you know, kind of building on from that, it's all perspective as well. You know, you've grown so much from that, learning the other person's perspective and being like, okay, do you know what? Maybe I do need to change something. Maybe resolving it straight away isn't right for this person.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not able to understand that. And that's fine. Everybody's different. When you enter a relationship, especially an intimate relationship, you're giving yourself, you're opening up, and you're showing them all of you. And that is your childhood trauma and how you're raised, and your environment of how you're raised comes through. And it doesn't always work with that person, and that's fine, but you just communicate. And I think that's all it is. Communication is super, super, super important with any kind of relationship. It doesn't have to be intimate. It can be friendships, it can be family, it can be friends of a friend, it can be literally any kind of relationship that you have. You need to communicate, because if you don't, nothing's going to be said, nothing's going to be resolved.
Exactly.
And it's going to be harder for you to actually deal with any problems that do occur. You're not problem solving. You're running away from the problem.
Exactly. I think it's good to understand how others resolve things, because, you know, we can all go to one goal, but how we get there is different. But if we can understand, you know, the steps that you take to get there, it'll be easier for me to also see where I can fit in, and you can see where, you know, vice versa kind of thing.
Yeah, you're taking a leaf out of somebody else's book, and that's good. You need to, that's how you grow as an individual. We as humans, we take in so much data every single day, and we retain so much without us even remembering that we're retaining all this information. And with relationships, it ties in massively because you're not just dealing with yourself, you're dealing with somebody else.
Yeah.
And you're opening up, and vice versa. They're opening up to you.
You're downloading what they're giving you.
Exactly.
They're downloading what you're giving them.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So you're really just exchanging information about each other. And that's big because, but it's the same way. If you're in a relationship, you've also got to know what you're getting into and be sure of it. If you don't love yourself and you're getting into a relationship, you shouldn't be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Learn to love yourself before you learn to love somebody else.
True.
Because loads of people do that, don't do that, sorry, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true. And also, like, one thing which I want a lot of people to understand, which took me a long time to understand, especially when you're a teenager, you think the whole world's against you.
Yeah.
But when someone loves you, they are going to put you in your place
100%.
and they're going to be as real as possible.
Yeah.
Whenever you're in a relationship and it starts off fairy and all that stuff, throw a wrench in the works, not for the sake of creating drama, but you want to be able to test someone in a position where they are uncomfortable, like a kind of what the fuck moment. Like, what the hell was that about? You know, you want to see their reaction because people go through life coasting and being comfortable, being complacent, and they're not understanding that conflict is actually so healthy for you.
100%.
So healthy for you. The more you're involved with conflict, the more you can understand the pressures of conflict and the more you can be calm in those situations. Growing up where we grew up, you had to be cool and collected all the time. All the time. There's no way you could be a victim. If you look like a victim, you are a victim.
100%.
And that's how it's going to be.
You have to carry yourself a certain way.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If you're in a relationship and there's no arguments and you're not having little, tiffs or whatever you want to call it, just little, bickering, it's not healthy. You need to have arguments to learn about each other. And this is what we've spoken about before. The honeymoon phase, it's not all is cracked out to be. Use that time to really learn about each other. Enjoy the good moments, of course, but it's not all rainbows and fairies and flowers and all of this stuff, and bloody leprechauns. Like, take the time to get to know each other through all of it.
Yeah.
Like, learn their bad habits and learn to understand why they do that and why they make these decisions or they act the way they act, because we're all unique in how we think and how we are, how we do.
I think that's the fun part about it as well.
Of course.
It would be so boring. Like, in my head, whenever we're talking about this type of topic, in my head, I always go back to that one Fresh Prince episode where Will Smith has got the perfect wife, he's got the perfect kids, he's got everything. And it's only a short little skit that it happens, but he's like, I hate this. Like, fight with me. What's going on? Like, and it just doesn't work. So
of course,
that's why I say invite the conflict. Conflict is good. It's good to be confrontational with your boys as well.
Yeah.
It naturally happens anyway.
Of course.
Because we're more real with each other than we would be with our consecutive other, if that's how you say it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. When I was growing up, I was very much in the shadows. Me being the youngest, 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
And the brother above me, Jaden, he was the one who was outgoing. He was the one who was this. And he taught me a lot of how to be outgoing when he was right. But I was an introvert, man. I was cool being in the shadows. I was cool being quiet. And like, even in our experiences where we've hanged out in our teenage years and we'd be at a party, I remember where, we're doing our stuff, we're doing our thing, and I'm just bare quiet,
Yeah.
And you're the opposite. And moments come where I can be, outgoing.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
I love being in the shadows, man. I prefer it because I love to study people and I love to look at people.
Yeah.
Learn the science of them.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people take the time to do that.
No.
And age will show that it's a good thing and you're required to do that.
Observe.
It makes your relationships a lot better.
I'm the exact same. 100%. I'm the exact same. Observe. Because if you don't, you're just oblivious to everything.
Yeah.
I could happily sit there and people watch all day.
Oh my God, I love that. I love people watch. Like, seriously.
Just to see how people react in certain situations. It's great. You learn a lot about humans, people, and just natural reactions and just natural demeanors, because if you're so enclosed in your bubble where it's like, I don't want to see other people and deal with that, then cool. But people are interesting.
They are
Humans
so
are very interesting.
Bro, especially the British public. One of the most interesting type of people.
It's just, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
There's always something going on. And I think it's just great to just observe.
Yeah.
And even in relationships, I do the same thing. And I say this to people when I get into a relationship. I say, I'm an observer. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I see things.
Yeah, yeah.
I pay attention, right? I make sure that I'm taking note of, not in like a bad way, like it's not a test. I'm not testing you. It's just how I am as an individual. It's like, I know what I need from somebody and what I want from somebody.
Yeah.
And what I tend to do is just, you know, little things, like the little mannerisms that I might be like, oh, cool, you do things like this differently, or you approach things like this completely different to how I would.
Yeah.
And then in my head, I'm like, okay, why? And it just like, it helps me break them down as an individual so I can really get to know them.
Yeah.
And then I'll come with the questions and say, why do you do things like this? Or why do you handle situations like this? Or why do you do this? Why do you do that? And that's just learning to understand people.
Yeah, it all goes back to the relationships that they've had in their lifetime as well, and what the characteristics they have adopted from other people. Because, you know, we're technically, you know, we're an adaptation of our environment. You know, growing up where we grew up, a lot of people wanted to be drug dealers. They wanted to be in the mix.
Yeah.
And a lot of us were.
Yeah.
You know, for a short period of time, a long period of time, maybe still today. That's how it goes. And, you know, you are exactly what your environment makes you to be, but you do have choices along the way.
100%.
And one of them is picking your friends, man. And I can't say this enough, man. The relationships that you hold with your friends are going to be what type of person you become in the future.
It shapes you.
Yeah. You can't be around bums and look to be successful. You know what I mean?
100%.
You've got to be around the right type of people. You've got to be around the same type of energy. Make sure they're not sucking off your energy, you know?
Yeah. No, don't being a leech, you don't, I've been around people like that. And
me too, bro. Like one of my closest friends in my whole life was like that.
Yeah. And it's energy, it's time consuming. I waste a lot of energy. I'm wasting a lot on this relationship. And it gets to a point where it's just like, you know what? I can't be bothered.
Yep.
Because what are you adding to my life? What value are you giving me? You're a great person, but you don't have anything that you want to do. You go based off of everybody else.
Yeah.
It's, in a sense, you're a sheep.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's fine in certain aspects, but in the grand scheme of things, in life, you can't be a sheep. Yeah. You want to be a leader. You want to be somebody who takes charge. Yeah. And it's the same way, like you said, like I've had best friends that I don't speak to anymore simply because it's just, we just outgrew each other. Like we've spoken about it. Exactly. We've spoken about it before, where you can be friends with somebody for so long, 15, 20, 30 years, however long, but life happens. Yeah. And sometimes they don't want to wait around for you to sort your stuff out. They want you to be a certain way because your energy is different or a little bit lower. They're like, nah, I need you like this all the time, you know? And it just doesn't work like that. We have our bad days. Yeah. And like you said, friendships, like group friendships, they're super, super, super important, because it's like you said, they do shape you into the type of person you're going to be. And like, I am how I am around you guys because I feel comfortable with you lot, because you're my boys. Yeah. And I'm now like that with everybody because it's me. Yeah. I'm a weird guy. Yeah. I have a dark sense of humor. I don't care. I have no filter.
Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons why I love you, dude. Exactly. Like
I just don't care.
Yeah. And if you want to see more of Sean, sign up to our Patreon. Yeah. Sign up to our Patreon.
Come to the local spoons.
We'll have no filter with regards to what we're talking about. We may be a bit on the eccentric side. Well, Sean will definitely be.
I definitely am.
But yeah, I can only thank you for being you. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things out there in the world where it's all fake.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one thing which I love about you. You're very much as you come. You know, a lot of people can learn a lot from that, you know, especially with their friends. If you are the way you are and they accept you, brilliant. You got great friends. If you are the way you are and they don't accept you, well, they ain't your friends.
Exactly. Like if you feel like you can't go to your friends and speak to them about your problems because they will react a certain way, or you do go to your friends and they react a certain way, they're not your friends.
Yeah.
Think about how you feel, how they make you feel. Think about it.
Yeah.
How do they make you feel when you're going through something? If I'm going through something that's like super heavy for me, or super traumatizing, or whatever it is, even if it's not that big, it can be the most minor thing. I can come to you lot and say, I'm feeling like this. Guys, I need to take a little break from the group chat. I need to just be by myself. Yeah. You lot will understand that, because not just can you understand, you can relate. Yeah. We've all been there. Yeah. We've all been on that edge of like, I can't do this shit anymore. Yeah. All of us, all 5 of us in the group chat have all been in that point. Yeah. Right? So we can all relate. So we all are like, okay, cool, but just know we're here if you need to talk about it. And there have been times where we have been in that position and we would just disappear. Yeah. And we won't say anything. And then one of us will be like, yo, like, where have you been? And you're like, oh, I'm just dealing with something. Well, chat to us. And you'll be like, oh, but I don't want to. The way I see it is like, if my friends have problems, they're not any type of burden to me. Yeah. I would rather get to the bottom of it and offer advice and help them out as much as I can so they can become the better version of themselves and get out of that situation. Yeah. Because that's what friends do. Yeah. I'm not here to, none of my friends will ever be a burden to me. Because not only have I been in that position, but I've had people help me out of that position. Yeah. And I'm going to reciprocate that same energy, because it's sad, bro. Yeah, bro. It's so sad. I know people, and I've been in that position where I felt like I couldn't speak to my friends because they might see me a certain way. They might see me a different way. And now I don't give a fuck, because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. Yeah. Man or woman. I'm a human being. I have emotions, I have feelings, and I'm allowed to feel them. Yeah. If my friends, my so-called friends, turn around and say to me, man up or deal, you're not my boys. Yeah. It's as easy as that. And that's why I love you guys, because I know for a fact, and obviously I've got other friends that I can do that with. It's just slightly different, but it works how it works. It works out. But I know I can come to you and say, I'm feeling one type of way. You'll be like, cool, what's going on? Yep. Let's go to the pub. And there have been times I've come out of a relationship and you guys are like, and I'm like, yo, I'm on the edge. I can't do this shit anymore. And you guys are like, cool, pub. Yeah, creams. We're creams, whatever it is. Wherever it is. Tonight, we're doing it. And then all of us turn up and we're just sat there and we don't even have to talk. We don't have to talk about the situation.
You could just chat shit.
We just chat shit, man. Yeah, man. And that's what we're good at.
Yeah, we're proper good at chatting shit.
Brilliant, we're pros.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, no, I mean, you're totally right, man. It's such a blessing to have like certain people like that in your environment, man. It makes you feel way comfortable with being yourself.
And 100%.
You can go around and be yourself with whoever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I always find now when I lay out all of my cards on the table, I get the reaction where I know the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could trust people to be the way that they are gonna be. Yeah. Which is beautiful, man. Once you get to that point where you can allow yourself to be completely honest in your behavior, not necessarily the words you're talking, they don't have to be honest, but the way you act is completely honest. It's yourself. It's beautiful, man. You gravitate to more people like you, and they gravitate to you as well. And what happens is all the little pieces of bullshit and all the little fake phonies, they just start flying away. Because what do they need? They need fake phonies to hang around with.
Of course.
It's beautiful, man. It's the way the universe works. I can't say, ever since I come back to London, I can't say I haven't had a rough time. I've had a lot of rough days. And
of course.
Every time you lot were there.
100%. I mean,
many moments, it was pretty tough.
Bad, man. And you know, like I said to you, I've been the exact same, man. It's like when you've been in them positions, I've known. I'm not, and I don't fuck around with it. Yeah. Because I've lost people to this shit, you know? And this is why, like, I want to talk about it, because it's real life, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, we don't talk about our feelings enough. Yeah. We don't talk about when we're sad and this whole ego and pride thing. Fuck all of that, bro. Like, we're still, at the end of the day, we're core human beings. We feel things. And that's why I say, like, I feel when I know when people are upset. I feel it. And I've seen it with you. I've seen it with the other guys, Steph, Dylan, T. I've seen it all, you know? And we've all been through our own shit.
Yep.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop being there for you. I'm going to say to you, if you don't make it clear, I'm still going to be like, well, you're acting off. What's going on?
Yeah.
Chat to us.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
It's a safe place that's provided.
100%.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. There's a lot of people out there who don't have that safe space. And again,
and that's why we're creating
why
this,
we're
though.
doing this, man.
That's why we're doing it, to create that safe space for you to feel like, okay, cool. Maybe I don't have people I can talk to, but maybe these guys will understand. And we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Exactly.
We might not be able to relate, but we understand.
Exactly. And maybe we've gone through something similar to you, or you need some advice. To be honest, like, drop us a DM. You know, we've got loads of platforms out there ready to go. You can leave a comment on YouTube. If you don't want to do that, you can drop us a DM on Instagram. You know, hit us up. You know, hit us up on TikTok, whatever it may be. Like, we're here for you lot. And the only reason why we're doing this is because we do it so well with each other. We think that there should be other groups out there who may not have the same similar, you know, aspects we give each other, the benefits we give each other. We're here for that, you know?
100%.
We're not necessarily trying to change you lot or teach you lot how to be.
No.
It's just an option on the table. And you know what? If you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with everybody, you're giving them an option, whether or not they can be honest with you or they cannot. And then the truth will come out or the lies will come to light, you know? So
just be aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, man.
Genuinely, that's like one of the most super important things to do. Always be aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
Keep your head on it. Keep your head. Take time for yourself. If you need to disassociate. 100%. Keep your head on a swivel, because there are people out there that don't have your well-being in their best interests.
Yep.
And
co-workers, family members,
100.
Yeah, they're all around.
Everywhere. It's like, what is it? You said it last night. That saying, blood is thicker than water.
Yeah.
But you create that blood.
Yeah.
Right?
The actual quote, right?
Go on, I'll let him say it.
What is it? The blood of the covenant. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember exactly the saying, but it's not what people assume. You know, they say blood is thicker than water. Basically means that your family is your family. You can't change that. Nah. Have a search up. That quote has been misconstrued to make people think that this should be a certain way. Nah, you make your family, man. You choose.
100%. You make the decision of who to let in your life and who to keep around.
Yeah, man.
And if you don't feel good having them people around, or you're not trying to be, they're not allowing you to be the best version of yourself, cut them off. Yeah. They're on their own journey. They're just not fitting into your life, and that's cool. But do things that benefit you.
Yeah, man.
I think that's what most people lose sight of, and especially in relationships.
Yeah. You know what? That's actually a fair point. A long time ago, when I was really into my music, I didn't hold many true friends at the time, because I wanted to be alone. You know, not that I didn't have true friends, but I just wanted to be alone. So what would I do? I would go to these random jam sessions in Brixton, right? And I would join 14 other musicians playing music together.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah. The Ritz.
No, it was...
Was it not the Ritz?
There was one at the Ritz, yeah.
I remember that.
There was a few other ones by Brixton Jam.
Yeah.
And all it is just a collab of people. Whether you're good at music, you're bad at music, we're all here together to enjoy one thing, a topic.
Yeah.
And the energy that we give towards that subject is what makes us connected. You know, like, you don't need to speak French to play with a French footballer. You kick ball together, that's what the topic is. You know what I mean?
Do you know what's crazy that you said that now? That's just reminded me. Bam Margera says the craziest thing, right? So I literally saw this the other day. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're good, man.
It just came into my head. That same thing you just said, the only thing you have in common is the music. If you take that away, you've got nothing else really in common, right?
Right.
There might be some people, of course, but in the grand scheme of it, they're not people that you can trust with your everyday struggles, your everyday problems, right?
Right.
And Bam said the same thing. He was like, he had to stop skating, right? He stopped skating for about a decade. And this was crazy. He stopped skating for about a decade, and he went to the doctors, and the doctor was like, you need to stop drinking, because your legs and your body is just severely dehydrated. If you go and skate on a board and you land heavy, your legs are just gonna snap.
Jeez.
Because you're that dehydrated. And he was like, I didn't think of it until I stopped drinking. But the people that I was drinking with, they brought nothing to me. If I took the drinking away, we'd have nothing in common. The one thing that kept us together was the drinking.
Wow.
And that was it. Only drinking. Wow. So you've got one thing that just holds you in place with that one group. You take that away, what's there?
Interesting.
What's there? Nothing.
That's so interesting, man. That is so interesting. A lot of my friends when I was growing up, when I was bunning a lot and I was doing all the nonsenses that I used to do. That word.
We'll go with it.
Yeah. Honestly, the amount of friends that I had back then, they weren't friends. They were just a group of people I used to do specific.
You shared the same interest at that time. If you take that away, what's there? What foundation do you have as a friendship group? It's like, oh, what are you saying today? You want to go get high? Yeah, cool. You want to have a drink? Yeah, cool. But you're not going out and doing anything else. That's how you bond. And for some people, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they're not your friends.
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact, with you lot, we ain't even got to go to the pub. We ain't even got to do this. Like, we do random shit.
Yeah.
We go out bowling. We do stuff like this, you know?
Yeah.
But our friendship, like our group as a friendship group is solid.
Yeah.
You know,
we've got so much in common with each other. Not just like things we enjoy, but like our experience.
Our perspectives, our outlooks, our experiences, everything. Like,
man.
It all ties in.
It's a good way to thin out the crowd, I think.
100%.
You know, think about it. Like, if you have something you do a lot with your mate, if you bun a lot, and you're going out with your mates and you're just going to bun, what would you do if you didn't bun? You know what I mean?
What would you talk about? What would you do? Would you want to go bowling with them, or would you want to go do some like activity with them if you're not smoking, or like, I don't know, man. It's different for everyone, of course. But I think what people do is they latch on to that one vice, so to speak. Let's use that word. They latch onto that one vice that you use as a common interest. But that's all that is.
It's true.
There's no real connection between you lot but that one thing.
It's true.
You know?
It's true. But sometimes that's not a bad thing. Like, when it comes to certain productive things, you may have a gym buddy. You don't really know them outside of the gym, but you do gym together.
Of course.
You may kick ball with someone. You don't do anything else with them. But yeah, I think that's a good way to see who your friends are, and also to test how, you know, how your likes and not likes work together. In a different environment, you may have a different perspective on something that I see. And one thing about our friend group, just so you lot know, if we have a disagreement, we're going to talk about it. And we're not going to say, oh, I'm not talking to you. It's like, we want to understand each other's perspective. Why do you think like that? Why do you look at things like that? That's a bit weird, bruv. Like, explain yourself. But we're not judging each other. We're just enjoying, you know, the information. There's data that comes into us, and that's the way that we function. But it's nice to see something different. You live in your socks every day, bro. It's someone else's shoes, you know?
It's one of them things where it's like, like with us, like you were saying with, like, you know, why do you do things like this? Why do you do things like that? Like, we don't mess around when it comes to that, because we've been friends for the best part of 15 years now. I've known you lot since I was like, what, 11? 12?
12, yeah.
Like back in the poly skate days.
Oh man, the good old days.
Back in the, you know, and obviously we haven't always been friends. We haven't always been friends in terms of like, we haven't always been this close, let's say, you know. You obviously moved away. I moved out. I done what I had to do. We kind of all just went our own way, but we always had that connection. And when everybody moved back, it was great. We was able to sit down. But it's like that statistic says, if you have a friendship that lasts more than 7 years, majority of the time, they're going to be there for the rest of your life.
True.
And we've been friends for fucking however many years. And I don't, like, unless you lot do some crazy shit to fuck me over, which I know you won't, but hypothetically, if you was to do some crazy shit, I don't see any need to not talk to you guys or open up. Like, I trust you lot with my life, and I'll say this, and I say this every time I get into a relationship. My boys are my boys. You ain't getting in the way of that, G. You know them ones.
100%.
They're my boys. Like, I talk to them about everything. They know everything about me, and vice versa. Obviously, if there's certain things in a relationship I'm not gonna open up about, because it's very, you know, private. I'm not gonna do that. But they're my boys. If I'm going to want to spend time with my boys, I'll spend time with my boys, you know, and obviously vice versa.
And there's always going to be times where you feel like you can't rely on certain people who have always been there for you.
Yeah.
But that's not a problem for, you know, it's not a problem for them to resolve. It's a problem for you to resolve.
Yeah.
A lot of people in relationships, they use it as a crux to put the blame on to someone, you know, like, you know, in our lives, you know, I grew up with Jaden, my brother, and, you know, he spent a lot of his time blaming other people for a lot of problems. And we all did once upon a time.
Of course.
You know, but it comes to certain things where life is not about blaming anybody but yourself.
Take accountability. Accountability. Accountability.
Yeah. I don't know if I've said this before, but like, you know, you're always at fault. You can trust a thief to be a thief. You can trust a drunk driver to be a drunk driver. You can trust an asshole to be an asshole.
Of course.
So at the end of the day, you're putting all of your trust into someone, and that is your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if someone does you wrong, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Of course, there's certain things that they had a choice in it, and of course, you didn't impact them on their decision. But it's not something from which you can say, you're the reason why I'm in this position. Nah, I spend time with you, and that's the reason why I'm in this position, because of that butterfly effect.
Yeah.
You know? So take your time with assessing things. If you're young and you've got loads of friends, like, enjoy the time that you have with them, but just remember, is it just for the experience? Are we just here to get lit? Or are we just here to, you know, leech off each other? Like, what is it about? Not to say that you need to find out now.
No, of course not.
Life is time. We've got so much of it.
You've got a lot of time. They say life is short, which it is, but you do have a lot of time, especially when you're younger. Time just drags by. But use the time to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
Learn about the others around you, learn about your friends, and just figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, man.
And it comes down to nobody, like we've said before, nobody knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's, you don't know your purpose until you really realize it.
Yeah.
Until you sit down and have that serious conversation with yourself. And I don't think, and we talk about relationships with other people, right? But what about the relationship with yourself?
Damn.
Now,
Preach it now.
bars. Because, hear me now, yeah? If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, you're not going to have a good relationship with others. Like, how do you think your relationship with yourself is right now? Let me just ask you that.
I think it's actually really good. I understand my true weaknesses, and I understand where I am good, and I understand what I need to work on. I would say I trust myself fully now, and I understand myself fully now. I think the relationship I hold with myself is actually great. I love myself massively. You know?
So you say it's healthy, you'd say it's a healthy relationship you have with yourself.
100%. Even when I'm not doing great,
Yeah.
I don't put myself down as much as I used to, because I still do.
Of
but
course.
I don't do it massively. So yeah, I would say I'm in a mad healthy position.
And do you know what? Building on from that, I have to say I'm super proud of how far you've come as an interviewer, because I've seen you through the ringer, bro. Like I've seen it all, and like vice versa, you know. Yeah. And like all of my boys, bro. I can't lie to you. All of my boys have been through some shit, and I'm super proud of all of you, man. You know who you are.
Big yourself up now.
Oh, sorry. No, but real talk, I'm super proud of all of my boys, because all of our hands that we've been dealt are different.
Yeah.
But we're still here. You know them ones?
Yeah.
There's been times where we nearly haven't been.
Yeah.
Because it's too much. But we take that time and we learn to have that self-respect.
Yeah.
We lose sight of that, especially when you get into an intimate relationship. You lose sight of, not all the time, but if you get into a toxic relationship, you start doubting yourself, you start losing yourself, and whatever, it changes. Obviously, we all handle it differently, but we all forget to have that relationship with ourselves.
Yep.
And I'm a victim of this. This is me. When I get into a relationship, because I put my all into this one person, I forget about myself.
Yep.
I neglect myself.
Yep.
And all you need to do is sit there for half an hour a day, just reflecting.
Yep.
I've done it the other day. I'm just sat there working. I'm just reflecting, self-reflecting on whatever. I don't even know what I'm just learning about myself, what I might need to change, mannerisms, decisions, that sort of stuff, how I see things. And I'm telling you, like I said, you can't love somebody else if you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself. And that's true.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good relationship with yourself, how can you expect to have a good relationship with somebody else.
It's so true. It's so true, man. You know, I thank you, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate those words. Yeah, I've had relationships a long time, and of course, the longest relationship I've ever had in my entire life is with my mum and my dad. You know, and my relationship has gotten better over the years. And I'll make something pretty obvious to you guys, but it's obvious anyway. The reason why you don't get along with your parents when you're a teenager is because you don't love yourself. You're not in tune with yourself.
And you're a teenager,
Yeah,
bro.
you're angry at the world. But now I'm such in a good place now. I've got the best relationships I've had with my parents in my whole lifetime now.
Yeah.
But that's because that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I've learned to love myself, and it's one of the biggest and hardest things to do. Do you know why? Because you got to accept all of your flaws. You got to accept all of that stuff, and it's okay, man. You know,
Nobody's perfect.
nobody's perfect.
Get this out your head.
Yeah.
Whoever's living that lie, get it out your head. Nobody's perfect, bro.
Be embarrassed. Be embarrassed with yourself, because it will make you into a better person.
If you don't learn about yourself and you don't embarrass yourself, you're not learning. You're not. Why tiptoe over certain things? Like, just experience this shit, man. Like, like some horror.
Yeah, literally, bro.
Just live your life.
Through that.
Yeah, man. Just live your life. Just take it all as it comes. It's not gonna change. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're still gonna live them experiences. You trying to avoid them, you running away from them, it's gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it 10 times worse.
Yeah, man.
And that's why I say, just be true to yourself.
Yeah, man. And it's scary. Don't get it twisted. It's scary, bro.
Nobody has it figured out.
honest. Yeah.
Nobody has it figured out. It is, like you said, it is scary. It is 100%, because you have no answers.
Exactly.
You have no answers.
People say, oh, you know, we're planning to have a child. You ain't planning nothing. You don't know nothing. You walk into parenthood like a ghost. You don't know nothing. You're just filling in all of your matter from that point.
You can read as many books as you want. You can read as many books as you want, but you're not going to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You can't prepare for something that you have no control over.
Yeah. Even if it's your second child, they're going to be different.
Of course.
But that, like, with that, I think that is a good place to start. Even though this subject that we're talking about today is to do with relationships and family dynamics, the main source of it all comes from oneself.
100%.
So if you want to have a better connection with, you know, lost relatives, friends that you're not really connecting with, connect with yourself, you know, and whatever, you know, comes towards you, gravitates towards you, that's the word I was looking for, gravitates towards you, then that is the blessing that you've given yourself. You work on yourself and everything will gravitate towards you.
Of course, it will all fall into place as it should.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah, I think on that note, guys, we are going to end this episode here. If you did enjoy this episode, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And Sean, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I think just comment, man. Bring them in.
Yeah,
let me see what you're working with. Good or bad. I'm ready. I'm ready to take it all on. Pause. No, but on the real though, like, we do want to hear from you guys, whether that's Instagram, DMs, TikTok comments, rare tear tear. We've had a few TikTok comments come through and we do respond to them. YouTube comment, just engage with us.
Yeah.
We want to hear more from you guys. We want to get some people, if they have questions, we want to get a segment in where we just answer people's questions with any problems they're dealing with, or any questions they want answered. We can obviously try and answer them to the best of our ability. Bearing in mind, disclaimer, we're not therapists or relationship advisors, anything. This is from our own experience.
Yeah.
So anybody in the comments, shut your mouth.
Or open your mouth.
Yeah, pause. Yeah. But yeah, that's it, really. We're going to be touching on a few more subjects, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, I just wanted to mention, you know, we do have a Patreon, which we are looking to open up very soon. So if you guys would like to see additional content, maybe something a bit more lighthearted, because of course we are speaking about the real stuff here. And, you know, sometimes there's a time and a place for the real stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a time and a place for some fun and some comedy, you know. So be sure to check out our Patreon. And if you are willing to support us, you know, subscribe to us. And of course, this is only going to be in your benefit, because it means that we will be able to perform more behind the camera and in front of the camera, perform. Hey, yo, this is getting weird now.
Pause.
Yeah, we can perform And we can get more content out for you guys. And of course, we work full-time jobs, so our lives are hectic outside of this anyway. So
yeah.
it would be nice for us to have the opportunity to be able to stay here constantly.
Yeah, 100%.
We can work with the community. We can work with you guys.
That's it. We want to build a community.
Yeah.
We want to build a community for you guys.
Yeah.
This is all for you guys.
Yeah.
And also us in a sense, so we can learn about it. But we want to build a community for you guys so that you can feel like you can open up a bit more and just don't care about what other people think or say. They don't know you.
Exactly, bro.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, perfect end to the episode. Yeah, like I've already said, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have fun, guys.